Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Bullpen podcast. I have the most dynamic and dashing Tushar Kansal with me. He's the founder of Kansaltancy, a very interesting pun there. And I would like Tushar to really introduce himself and tell us what he does, what he's all about before we start getting into the show. Please, Tushar, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjot, for having me. I'm Tushar Kansal. My company is Consultancy Ventures. My passion is doing talks, podcasts. I've done shows for TV, Har Ghar Startup Channel. I've done for CNN News 18. Professionally, I manage a finance business by the name Consultancy Ventures, and we have been arranging funding from VC funds, family offices. We have been arranging debt, and we are also the IB to the largest anchor investor in the SME IPO space with investments in 115 IPOs. Uh, I'm also a venture advisor with the Canadian VC fund and awarded a number of times in my journey of 25 years post my engineering and MBA. But I love doing talks. I have done more than 500. They are all available in the public domain.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Tushar. Tushar, just tell me something. Let's start with some lighter things that how did you come to the markets? What drove you to the markets? Who was that initial inspiration to you that came to you that you wanted to get into the markets?
Well, I used to read a lot, and since school, I used to just read a newspaper, and then I used to read any book which and I used to read non-fiction. I never read fiction. So
Okay.
because of that, I always used to see these rich people. They are either from finance background or technology background, and I always used to think, yeah, I have to do technology, I have to do finance, and that's how I ended up. And my father was from IIT Delhi, so the whole atmosphere in the
Wow.
house was engineering, engineering. So that's how I did engineering, and then I did MBA finance. And then the family is a business family, so I have had stints where I've done businesses, sold them off, and I've done my share of corporates like Deloitte and Touche and Times of India's venture arm Brand Capital, and also I headed treasury for the $3 billion MTS India, and lastly I was CFO with Distribution Logistics. That was a company 99% owned by Guggenheim Partners, the American private equity fund. So the whole
And
journey was
so much of
entrepreneurship,
yeah, so much of
finance.
entrepreneurship, finance. Wanted to understand how did you have to shift gears in terms of thinking, sometimes entrepreneurship, sometimes consultancy, sometimes advisory? It's always like, from what I understand is, let's say you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to control the outcome, or you're very focused on outcome. But let's say you go to advisory, you have to, like, take a step back. So how do you do that switch in and out, in and out? And let's say now that I believe you did a CFO stint also, then you're completely different. Then you're like really managing the costs and really focusing on how to optimize the company. So how does that, different role switching happens for you?
Well, if you understand that, the sense of being in a job on the finance side or being in your own business is essentially to manage money, make more money in the process, have as many efficient systems as possible. You should know the markets as well, that, which thing will optimize your cost and which thing can maximize your revenue. So, these simple things, if you understand about a business, or if you are doing a job as a CFO, you need to understand your cost. So, I understood these things pretty well. Frankly, I wasn't such a good finance guy when I did my MBA. But
Right.
once I was in Deloitte, I developed a lot of skills in understanding businesses, in understanding sectors, in understanding, how to evaluate companies, how to value them, and all this. They have stood by me over these years, and and they have played a role whether I did entrepreneurship or. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, my first stint itself was successful. So I sold my institute to Narayana Institute for a good amount. So the success was
Can
there
you
already.
disclose?
So
Is it disclosable amount or non-disclosable amount?
it was way back in 2006 when the valuations were not as today, but
Correct.
it was slightly below 10 crores.
Nice, nice. Congratulations on that. So
Thank
I think founders can always reach out to you for, I mean, with this kind of a medium, more founders can reach out to you. Of course, you must be in touch with a lot of founders. This medium can
you. Most
be
welcome.
used for EAS, for more founders to reach out to you on how to get that, fat check,
Definitely.
right? And so tell me something, how is it that you're looking at the SME space? Because I believe you're also on a board of director for, a listing company for SMEs, right? So how are you looking at the SME space? Last year काफी hot था market SME का, थोड़ा सा भी, dry up हुआ है या what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the SME space is the most important space in India's economy for the reason that it comprises more than 30% of GDP, and there are more than 110 million people who work there, and 60% of India's exports come from SMEs. And so SME is very important, and it is the space has been littered with companies who have always faced problems, and whether it is a funding problem, or it is a market reach problem, or is it a management bandwidth problem. So governments have always been trying to help SMEs in many ways, and the biggest problem which these companies used to face is the lack of availability of funding. And
Okay.
when it comes to debt, they rely heavily on bank loans, and bank loans make almost 60% of their funding sources.
Wow.
But bank loans are also tricky because you have to give your property as collateral, and if you are not giving that property, then you have to pay a lot of high interest rate. But
Hmm.
if you are paying 16%, 18% interest rate, but your product is competing with Chinese who are getting
Hmm.
loans in 5%, 4%, and so that's where the SMEs tend to lose out. And because the Indian government, they have a lot of policies for companies up to a certain size. So
Hmm.
SMEs who grow beyond that size, they tend to lose out on those different facilities which are available through the Indian government. So many of them, they feel that let us stay small only. This
Right,
is a
right. मतलब
reverse
जितना चल रहा है उतना
scenario.
चलने दो, ज्यादा इसको बढ़ाते नहीं।
मतलब अब अगर हमारा इसका ये इतना टर्नओवर क्रॉस हो जाएगा, देन वी वोंट बी एबल टू टेक सीजीटी एसएमई लोन, देन वी वोंट बी गेटिंग द इंटरेस्ट subvention on that particular policy of
Hmm.
the government. And so they always feel, let us run our house and stay small.
Hmm.
Regarding SME IPOs, last year 8,500 crores was raised by
Wow.
SMEs. But what happens is that whenever something very hot is happening, then even the questions are raised at the authorities, at the bureaucracy. So this Securities and Exchange Board has been trying to clamp down on excessive valuations,
Wow.
excessive. They're trying to clamp down on companies who are still relatively small. They want
Hmm.
within the SME space also the bigger ones to come out, and
Hmm.
that is what's is happening. But people are not putting their money in FDs; they are putting in mutual funds, and more
Hmm.
than 10 crore demat accounts are there today. And through Grow and Zerodha and all these apps, people are able to put money in IPOs very easily, and that is why the space is booming.
Interesting times. I would like the one point which you said. I want to dive into this one point which you said. Overall, so you're saying that India's SMEs, after a point, they want to stay in where they are. So don't you think that just to have a slight discussion here, don't you think it's our frameworks or policies are as such that the ease of doing business in India is tough because There was a post which went viral on LinkedIn, or there's an article. If you're a manufacturing company, there's so many certifications, so many checks and balances
Huge,
that you
more
need
than
to have.
50.
And exactly, and plus you're competing with, a country, another competitor which is right beside, which is undercutting at every single time, at every single levels. So, that is where I have understood, or I have seen that this is why companies are now trying to get listed, so that, instead of trying to raise debt, they can go to the public and, ask public for the funding money.
Yeah, they never had access to any other capital but the promoters' loans and
Hmm.
the promoters' capital. And the promoter, the founder, the promoter, he was very, very shy of taking too much risk because end of the day, as you rightly said, in manufacturing, there are more than 50 regulations, and so many agencies who have uh, powers to stop your work, and hence it is very much prone to corruption. And on the other hand, you are competing with the Chinese. Today, Chinese government decided that their next industry is EV, electric vehicles, and in
Right.
the last 1 year, they opened 50 square mile factory for BYD. 50 square
Right.
miles. You know, so you can imagine the scale at which these guys operate, and they get total support from the government. The government gives them money. They give them access to capital markets, land, electricity, water. There is no labor rights. There is no labor union. Only the Communist Party union is there,
Correct.
and so it is very easy to do business. India's ease of doing business has become better, but
Long way to go.
still, it is long way to go. Yeah.
Thing is, even in manufacturing, if you see, only the legacy businesses are the ones which will perform well or will do well, who have been there for the 2 or 3 generations. The reason why I'm saying that is, through our discussion, I just remembered an incident where a friend of mine, same age as mine, early 30s, late 20s, he wanted to leave everything and he wanted to get into manufacturing, and he wanted to get into the manufacturing of boric acid. And to set up a very simple plant of boric acid was also, he had to go through so much of regulations, and so much of, taxes, and so much of, the threat of entry, or sorry, the barrier of entry, which we feel is low, it's actually high in terms of costs. So eventually, after evaluating everything, although, it is a price sensitive market, it's a commodity, he had to eventually take a step back, and he's like, okay, maybe this is not for me. It's I think only for the big boys. So over the time, this is what I see, that there will be no players in the new players in the manufacturing sector. Older players would be doing well, and these older players will be supplying, or will be more B2B. And just yesterday, I was, just couple of days yesterday actually, I was at an IPO meet. There was this nutraceutical company. There was a legacy business of providing protein powder, herbs, and all these kind of forms of powder to all these D2C brands. And the way their ROCs and everything had skyrocketed was unprecedented. So this like really gave me a perspective of, a new player can't enter now in the manufacturing segment. There will be only D2C
Yeah, the
brands.
legacy players have too much of advantages. Like, people say that the all the steel companies are not doing well, but Tata Steel and Jindal Steel is doing well because
Ah.
they have land free of cost, at that time, and
Hmm.
the whole machinery is fully depreciated. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
so those are the advantages. But after doing SME IPO, uh,
Right.
the funding for problem goes away, and
Acha.
you can say new challenges come up. Like now you are seen as a company which is a listed company, so you will get better customers. You will be able to manage your working capital in a
Hmm.
much better fashion. But then, along with limelight, along with that, comes responsibility, that your brand is there. You should not be seen as doing any unethical behavior, or like you have to manage market expectations, and You have to, for sustaining the high growth trajectory, you have to keep on performing, because if your profit doesn't go up, if your revenues don't rise, then the shareholders who are holding your shares, they will lose out. And once the retail shareholders makes losses in a stock, they never forget it.
Hmm.
And this is the problem, that you don't have any other option but to perform, and
Hmm.
use that money efficiently. Like, Paytm shareholders, they were listed, I think, around 2100 rupees, but later on there was a regulatory issue in which Paytm's wallet license was taken away, and now the share is, I think, 700, 800. And those who thought that we are the first
Seem to be a
shareholders
shareholder
of
of
a
Paytm. You seem to be
uh,
a shareholder of Paytm.
No, I am not, but most of my known people who invested
Right.
in Paytm, they are crying today.
Right, right, right. No, I can understand. I can understand. No, but that's what even in when I was working with listed companies, I also used to, when I used to work with CXOs, they used to be new to the markets. I also used to tell them that, once you get listed, it's like a marathon that you're on permanently. Disclosures,
Yeah.
results, वो permanently रहेगा.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those disclosures and compliances and
Like a
independent director,
permanent
board of
marathon,
director
right? And it gets
compliance.
passed on. You cannot like delist and all kinds of things are pushed back. But anyways,
Yeah.
coming back to our core things that I wanted to discuss with you is that let's talk about the fresher topics which are there right now. Is like with AI, there are a lot of mass layoffs that are happening, but still students are going to US and foreign countries to pursue all kind of tech things. But how do you see this, mass layoff due to AI? Because just today in the morning I read, I think it was a Marcellus ka statement tha, in the next 5 years there will be hardly any coders. So the middle class is in crisis because everyone in India who is slightly even a bit of a tech mind wants to be a coder or something. So how do you see that mass layoff, AI and tech overall changing?
Well, first there is AI, and then there is the perception of AI. Both
Hmm.
are different things. For
Hmm.
example, Anthropic's CEO, uh, Dario Amodel, he said that more than 50% of the current jobs, entry levels especially, they won't be there after AI gets fully implemented. And recently, must have seen Google and Microsoft have laid off a number of people, 6,000 in Google, and because they are saying we replaced it with the AI. Even IBM, Klarna, the European fintech company, they laid off people. So the thing is, automation was always in the top of the mind of management since a long time. Now AI allows them to automate the repeatable processes. But the ground reality, which I just said, that the perception is different and AI is different. The ground
Right.
reality is, although AI is being implemented,
Hmm.
but there is no clarity. Even today, companies are, they're just trying things like, let us automate this by AI, let us use AI in this. And the main thing is that those listed companies with huge market capitalizations, once they announce a layoff, then their stock price shoots by 10 to 20%. So
Hmm.
this is another way also to reduce your workforce, to try to bring efficiency, and to boost up your stock price. That we have implemented AI, we have, hence we are chucking out people. So it that also kind of becomes a political statement, for the market to grasp. But the solution to that is continuous skilling, upskilling, cross skilling. My very close relative, she stays in Switzerland with her husband. They had migrated from India to Germany to Switzerland. This guy is 51 years old, and he has left his job, and he's doing a 2-year course full time in AI. because he
Wow.
says that from 53 age to 65 age, I want to be set. I don't want to face this problem of retrenchment, especially when I'm old. So
Hmm.
so people have to reskill, you have to upskill, you have to adopt AI, you have to know how to use AI. My
Prompt
recent
engineering. These days they call it the prompt engineering, right? Right. Please go
my
ahead. Yeah.
recent my recent podcast, it went viral, and I
Okay.
was asked the guy, the creative agency who works on that, he's based out of one office is in US, one is in Kolkata. So he said, I use AI for everything. So he gave me a list of 20 apps and websites which he uses. I said, wow, man. So I mean, that's
Insane.
why you are able to do such good work.
Hmm. I think it's also crazy times and interesting times where once upon a time we were clapping when, Fox company like
Yeah.
Foxconn, they were, announcing that they will get 10,000 people jobs. But now we are also clapping when 10,000 people are going to be losing their jobs. I mean, it's just
It
the
is
shift in the
it is
complete
very bad for
mindset.
India. It is not
Mhm.
good for India because our whole economy, more than 50% is service oriented. Our whole middle class is job oriented, and they are
Mm,
knowledge oriented, and they believe education plus a job for life. And
mm,
even the startups, what do they do? That, first COVID came, 40% startup shut down. Now AI is coming, another 40% will shut down. So end of the day, either you have to adopt or you get slaughtered. I mean,
right.
there is no middle way.
Interesting. Coming to, the thing you talked about, um, startups, right? One thing I want to push over there is these days I was actually speaking to, another person last week on this podcast, and I asked the same question to her, where, Miss Vandana, I believe she's your, friend, and and the question was, don't you think that startup these days are really trying to muscle every inch out of people and really pushing them to work as hard as the founders and without any, kind of realistic expectation, realistic KPI? It's always more and more and more. It's as if like you put a coin inside a slot and then you just expect something out of the human, right? So what are your thoughts? I mean, we are humans at the end of the day and we have forgotten. And to continue that point, if there's a hardly any performance or there is kind of a performance issue, the person gets cut or because at the end of the day, the founder knows that this is a system, he has to run the system and he's loyal to the system and not to the people. So what are your thoughts about this, and how should people navigate around this?
Well, this is a very pertinent question. Uh, Hustle culture, which is, the founders, they pitch hustle culture as a badge of honor. And
Right.
it is also, another like modern day version of slavery, glorification of slavery, that
I didn't want to
we
say
don't
that.
have
I wanted to be very politically correct. But yes, please go ahead.
yeah, I mean, see, I mean, startups, they don't get a chance to make too many processes. And there is a lot of fluidity, in the way they run the businesses. And, everybody is expected to be a hero and somehow perform in that environment.
Hmm.
So that is why they pitch hustle culture as like, a badge of honor. Uh, although the thing is that companies like Zepto have a bad name in the market of really overdoing it. Like, I I spoke to a Zepto employee who was saying that sometimes the CEO takes a meeting from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. So that's really something which is not done,
So,
because end
at
of the
night.
day, there is a
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Should I speak?
Yeah, no, please. I was just saying Zepto at like 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. at night. So I was a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Any time, like, he will just if he's sleeping in the day, he'll come at night, and everybody, all the senior people are expected to be there. So typically, what they do is, like, if somebody is getting 50 lakhs in a multinational, they will hire him at 1 crore, double salary, and they will offer ESOPs against that. So the person
Hmm.
always believes that, this ESOP will someday, give him a lot of money.
Into
And
wealth.
that
Yeah.
is, yeah. So, there is a silent withdrawal also. Many employees, they silently leave because they are not able to cope up. The human body, there is a research which says that it is not made to work beyond 40-50 hours a week. And
Hmm.
here, in some companies, even in some iBanks, you are working 90
Right.
hours a week. And like people like, it's related that, people like Mr. Narayan Murthy, who say that you should work more than 70 hours a week. They never worked for somebody else for 70 hours a week. And they send their children to UK, because in the UK the prescribed hours are 36 hours a week, and nobody works after 4 p.m. Everybody focuses on health and entertainment. So that is the, flip side of the hustle culture,
So
glorifying the
I,
hustle culture.
interestingly, while speaking to you, something really popped in my mind. Now that, there is a lot of dynamic pricing models that are being used for purchasing, dynamic algorithms are being used for user personalization experiences. So businesses are nowadays using so much of dynamism in using AI and all these things to create such, you know, innovative way of experiences, innovative way of earning revenue, right? Don't you think so? There needs to be a dynamic way of the way people earn also. Meaning, let's say the way profitability works is, companies earn, their buck towards the second half of the year. Maybe I'm not talking about bonuses and everything. Give these employees the 5% hike for the first 6 months, and really that gives them like a base level confidence that okay, no, they're still valuable, or slightly that helps them beat the inflation. And then the rest of it, so the five plus whatever, eight, seven, another three, whatever that percentage is, then that becomes a pure play on their performance. Don't you think so? Something, some dynamic way of, the way people get their incentives, or the way people also earn their um, salary hikes needs to be there. Yeah, that's the word I was thinking.
Well, after being in business or job, like being in the corporate workplace since 25 plus years, my sense tells me that money is not the only motivator. People come to office as a way of life. They
Hmm.
bond with others in the team. They
Hmm.
have a common objective for which they all are leaving aside their families and coming to office. And
Right.
if you assign a person a creative work, he's not thinking I'll get 10%, 5% from this after 6 months. He has to
Hmm.
do that efficiently. He has
Hmm.
to use all his skills, be confident, he has to feel good about it.
Hmm.
So to my mind, motivating people by money is important, because money is important. And everybody sees their career also in the long term, that they are able to make their cost meet and live a good standard of life, have a car and everything. So money is important. But when it comes to actually uh, giving a fulfilled life to each person in your office, there has to be a number of other things you have to do, like the Japanese, they always feel that we don't have to retrench anyone. We have
Hmm.
to keep people till, give them an option to work till retirement. And
Hmm.
some companies in India also do that. And earlier they used to do that more, but now we are competing with American companies, hire and fire culture. So now we
Correct.
are, that culture has also come
Traditional
in,
Indian
that
corporates, in
just
traditional Indian corporates में ऐसा नहीं होता था. When people used to
नहीं
join,
होता
even
था.
a lot of corporates I know today, even the Tatas, once people join, they don't tend to fire them. They tend to like
Yeah.
stagnate their growth, but they won't fire people.
Tatas don't fire easily. Tatas don't fire easily, and even Bidlas and the legacy businesses,
Yeah.
they don't fire easily. But then again, the criticism goes there is that they have a very top-down style of functioning, and the sole person who
Correct.
decides is the founder. And
Correct.
then the whole thing becomes like a government sarkari kind of thing, and
Right.
people, they are not able to get that sense of accomplishment.
Right. मतलब security है पर growth नहीं है. Right.
Both me.
So I want to also highlight something interesting that you said, that founders are expecting people to, work a lot more, and but they should not be paid, or sorry, they are also paid, at high, they someone must be earning 50 lakhs, but he's hired at 1 crore.
Yeah.
And that's
That
not
is the
just
way. That is the way they do it. They hire
right.
double. They'll hire a KPO worker, a BPO worker, give him a vice president role, and say that we are funded and now we have to do this. You just do it,
Wow.
and we are giving you 50 lakh worth of ESOPs extra. So once you
Wow.
do it this year, at the end of the year, your ESOPs will vest. So
Hmm.
naturally, that's how they motivate people, and very few senior management people, and then a whole bunch of less salaried individuals who are somehow expected to hustle and deliver. That is the way it
Now let
generally
me
all
talk
the.
about Now let me talk about something in that, something interesting which has been popping up. Now I'll give a example of a post, right? I'll give an example of two posts. One, it was in November where, Deepinder Goyal had a chief of staff position that, he had opened up where someone had to pay, but then they said it's a marketing gimmick, and then they hired a lot of good talent over there. And that's one kind of post. Then suddenly last month, I think this is a Go Zero. He's an ice cream founder, Kiran Shah, where recently also he posted saying that employees leave or abscond after 1 month salary. But the post which I'm trying to refer to is he was saying that I'm going to pay someone 1 crore as a founding or as a seed money if you work for me for a year tirelessly and endlessly for weekends, weekdays, incessantly all out. So is
Indecent
this sorry?
kind of indecent proposal.
Correct. So, and this was like all out. And what are your thoughts about this? Like, should people or talents, young talents, go for this kind of thing, or they should like really preserve their own sanity, or like jump to the attraction of things?
Well, it's a very good question, Sanjot. I feel that I always say India is not a or kind of market, that either this or that, either
Mm,
job or startup. We are a and kind of place because we are the most populous country on the planet. So we need
right,
startups also. We need MNCs also. We need 2,000 out of 3,000 top Fortune companies have their this one GCCs in India. We need those also. We need
right.
so we need everything, and to my mind, if a person is seeing a career trajectory, upward mobility in that particular job, then if he doesn't go for it, somebody else will go for it. There are enough people. So,
Mm,
end of the day, like, I tell you, a friend of mine, he stays in Gurgaon now. His wife used to be always not very happy with the MNC job in Gurgaon. It was a lot of pressure, and, there was no work from home. You keep on going to office, and she had to manage the kids also because she was not living with her parents. And end of the day, she joined a startup, and the startup got kept on getting funding. She was very lucky, and end of the day the startup gave an exit to all the ESOP holders, so she got
oh
6
wow.
crores at the age of 38.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, she took a 2-year break. She went for like scuba diving and Europe trekking and
Mm,
whatnot.
insane. Insane. So there are good stories coming out of this also. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you So interesting stories coming out of, the other kind of, scenario also. My one of the ex-boss, once I worked with, he had his own firm, and he was a promoter of the firm, and he very confidently, not confidently, बहुत unabashedly बोलते थे कि तू नहीं करेगा तो कोई और कर लेगा, हिंदुस्तान में बहुत आबादी
सही बात
है.
है. एक्चुअल में ये रियलिटी है इंडिया की. जो बंदा दुबई में टैक्स फ्री सैलरी दे रहा है अपने एम्प्लॉयज को, एंड ही द एम्प्लॉय लीव्स एट 5 p.m. यूके में ऑफिस है, द एम्प्लॉय लीव्स एट 4 p.m. Here he is taking work till 10 at night. And then after the employee goes home, he says, do check the mails also.
Yeah, yeah,
इंडिया
yeah.
में कोई इंडिया में कोई धर्म ही नहीं है, मतलब जिसको जो चाहे, बिकॉज देर इज एंडलेस, देर आर एंडलेस एम्प्लॉइज अवेलेबल.
I think so I'm going to say we, just to be politically correct, we run these businesses like, like manufacturing companies, clock in, clock out, but still you have to be in touch. Because of technology, you still have to be in touch with your mails. But agar mails nahi hote to, then you still have to go back and see. Yeah, yeah. So,
Sure.
tell me something, moving on, what do you feel is the what do you feel is then the solution for people in terms of, I call it moonlighting, which is a bad thing that, employees look for side jobs, side hustles. In employment contracts, they say that, oh, you cannot moonlight, you have to be loyal and everything. I understand data breaches and all of that. But with the way current, inflation is, the way the expenses are, even the recent meme, which, it's a very viral meme which people use nowadays, kids nowadays use that, I'm making 10x the salary as my parents, but I'm still fighting for blueberries on discounts while they had already bought their first home, during their time. So what is it? Is this, is it okay to moonlight? Because a lot of people are against it. So what are your thoughts on that?
See, I'll tell you, the whole world is okay with moonlighting, and because it's a fact that like in Europe also, in US also, students do a job, then they do a side hustle, then they at the night they work at a restaurant, and then so even while doing a job like in Canada, you'll be doing 2 to 3 jobs. So moonlighting is a fact, and it is accepted fact. But if you legally accept it in your employment contract, then everybody will not do justice to your original
Hmm.
job. So that is why it is legally not accepted. But
Hmm.
otherwise, everywhere it is acceptable. One of my cousins, he works for Cognizant, and
Right.
he's a team leader and good package. Recently, he earned 70 lakh rupees in 10 months, 7 lakhs per month, by doing a side hustle
Wow.
for a European company.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
which were the
So
services that he provided?
so he had learned about some Adobe software from the company while doing a contract work for
Okay.
Cognizant. So he found a project in which they required a similar kind of thing.
Hmm.
So he used to work at night and used to like really hustle it out, and because there are stagnant wages, inflation, high cost of living. So so naturally, in typically in gig economies, you tend to work more than one job, and it is both an opportunity, and it is also a warning. It is an opportunity because the employee does not leave you because he's doing another job, so his work, he is able to survive. But it is also a warning that you are not paying your employee properly, and so though that person can eventually leave you. Like, there is a friend of mine, she was an MBA, and she was doing work in ICICI Bank, but she wanted more stable kind of job because she wanted to marry and settle down and have kids. So she got a government job. It was like managing the Anganwadi workers. They're doing their work properly and all that. But the salary is only 25,000. Now
Hmm.
she is doing side hustle. So apart from managing a kid, she's doing that Anganwadi government job, and she's doing a side hustle. So,
Hmm.
uh, naturally anybody will say, yeah, 25,000 article, how can you survive
Very
on
good.
25,000?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you something. There is this creator on LinkedIn and Instagram. Her name is Vedika Bhaiya. She's the founder of the Growth Square. Just giving you some context before, I. So she recently very openly said that she's okay for her employees to moonlight. And she openly says, go pursue, your own side hustles, go pursue your own side things. Because, she was also once upon an employee and or so there are these cultural shifts that are happening with young founders, young creators, with their team members. Even Tanmay Bhatt had this, concept where if he gets a brand deal, he would, out of that brand deal money, he would give 10 or 15%, or 20% to his editors, or as not as a bonus, but every single brand deal he will get, he will give them. So that also makes people stay. So these kind of little changes that are happening with the new generation to make, employees stay, or to improve the loyalty of, team members within their own ecosystems. So I think, yeah, this is
Well,
just,
that is
these
absolutely.
and different ways of operating things.
Yeah, I mean, even like I've heard that Google, if you are working there and you have some new idea,
Hmm.
then Google will incubate your project within the campus, and they will
Wow.
give you separate money, and you work on your project along with your job. So
Interesting times,
very
interesting
nice.
times. But what we really need to understand here, the bottom line is people are not willing to lose talent. That is what I've understood.
Yeah,
That we don't want to lose the talent.
yeah,
If we are so comfortable, आपको जो चाहिए वो ले लो, but आप
yeah,
इसी team में रहो.
yeah, yeah. See, on one side, the population is too much, and hence, the boss tells you that I can replace you anytime. But the other side of the story is it is very difficult to find good people who
Right.
stick by you, who do your work properly, who are sincere, who are committed, who take ownership.
Right.
You you will not find many people like that.
Right, right, right. So that is why I think now coming to the next, set of things that I wanted to ask is that is why then people also then migrate out of the country. They go out of the country.
Yeah.
So is that still a thing, migration? Or because I'm going to talk about migration of two things here. One is when students go out and they pursue education. And second is migration of HNIs and ultra HNIs. They are like surrendering their Indian citizenship and then they're permanently migrating. So,
Yeah.
how do you see, is it still a thing? Maybe for ultra HNIs who have private wealth, they can set up their own seashore accounts and set up their own trusts and everything. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on both the students and these guys?
Well, because in the West, like Canada, UK, US, and also Australia side, uh, the economies are not doing that well, and their productivity has gone down, and
Hmm.
because of that, the companies are under pressure, and inflation is high, and so there is pressure on the companies to recruit less and less people. So jobs are scarce, and in this scenario, there is a pushback against immigration, uh, and all the parties, they are democratic parties, so they feel the pushback that the immigrants are getting jobs, and the original inhabitants are not getting jobs. So that is for real. Although in
It
some
happens today
countries it
also
is.
in Bombay. It happens in Bombay
Well,
also. People from out of state they
yeah,
come to steal people's jobs.
yeah, happens everywhere, like
And the
in
same thing in
Malaysia.
Gurgaon also. People in Gurgaon are jobs are being stolen by people from Bombay and everyone.
At the
Arbitrage.
end of the day, everybody needs talent. Yeah, if your country is not able to provide talent, then you'll import it, as simple as possible, as
Right, right,
as simple as that.
right, right.
So so that is the thing. So upward mobility is still for real, and of course, those skills are still sought after. The companies which are at the cutting edge of things, and the GDP is growing by improvement in productivity, which comes from such bright people who are talented and skilled. And
Right,
either they help you cut cost, or they help you grow revenue, or they help you improve the productivity, because these are the bright people who think like that.
right.
So every country needs that. But the pushback is also for real, and I feel that India is benefiting from it because of brain gain. So the brain drain which had happened, it is reversing,
Hmm.
and these people, many of them are coming back, settling in Gurgaon, settling in Mumbai, settling in Bangalore. and that is why we are seeing a lot of benefit to India, the our economy as well.
Course. And what are your thoughts about that? These HNIs and ultra HNIs. Now, there's a lot of data which is now saying that about 1 lakh people are now surrendering every single year their Indian citizenship. So is wealth moving out of the country also simultaneously, or like, what's your thought on that?
Well, the migration thing is going on since almost 50, 60 years. Like since 1970s, my father passed out IIT Delhi. All of his classmates, most of them are in US, and they have been CEOs. They have seen that, done that. So it is a reality since many, many years. But since almost last 10, 15 years, the people who became rich with the massive GDP growth in the Indian economy, they see themselves as global citizens because they have enough money to buy a villa in Dubai. They have enough money to take a EB5 visa in US. They have enough money to buy a citizenship of Monaco,
Or
or
Singapore?
so or Singapore. So everybody welcomes money. So they can take a green card. They can take this one green visa
Or
for Dubai,
investors visa also in
investors
India.
visa. Yeah. So who's like you can't really stop these people. They will go where the standard of living is, where the taxes are less, where the money they have more security. Like India is not the only one who's losing out 5,000 millionaires a year. We have China and Russia losing out more than that.
Hmm.
So it is a phenomena of the capitalists, the top capitalists trying to find a better home. Like Lakshmi Nivas Mittal, he became a global phenomena, the second largest steel company in the world. So he lives. Everybody prefers to live in UK. So
Yeah,
he lives
even
in UK.
Vedanta's founder, he's now moved to UK.
Yeah, he shifted to UK because
Stuck out.
UK gives you real amazing standard of living and really palatial houses and all the things. Even all the Russian oligarchs they live in
UK.
UK.
Mhm.
Even Vijay Mallya lives in UK for that matter.
Of course, how can we forget that? But I think
Yeah.
we came to I think, talking to you, I came to I have understood the model now. Have a D2C startup, raise funds, raise funds, raise funds, squeeze out your exit and just move out of the country.
Take the money and run away from
Take
this
the money and
country.
run away. Yeah, flip the company, exit the company, and just run away. Make your buck.
See, the problem is that all of us educated people in India, we are not trying to correct the problems in India. We are trying to have enough money to run away from the problems in India. Because because पूरी जिंदगी कौन लगाए देश
True.
की सेवा में मतलब end of the day this country has so much problems that even like a well-meaning person like the current government Modi government, it is taking them ages to do things.
Yeah.
Look at the Ahmedabad Mumbai bullet train.
Yeah.
So what to say?
So it is, so there was a, article which came out, I think it was last year towards the end, where they said that US billionaires are much more tech billionaires because they're focusing on innovation and R&D and overall creating products which are for human benefit, versus the Asian billionaires and or Indian billionaires, which are much more bureaucratic in nature, which are much more, having that lobbying or that, high entry barrier or high infrastructure, play which is there in securing contracts, and it's much more asset based driven. But this is much more valuation based driven, and so that is where the difference is, and that is where the difference in the countries are, where one is completely tech enabled and one is like still trying to, push it on the lower end of the people to have that R&D, to have that innovation, while the upper ends are just, trying to, milk more out of the system.
See, if India was like China, where English language was not taught and everything happened in Mandarin, like everything happened maybe in Hindi, then we would have original Twitter in Hindi, owned by an Indian guy, worth $40 billion. We would
Not
have
not possible
our
because not possible because
not
we are
possible because we are
Englishly
English
we are
speaking, so
influenced
we
by
have
British people.
all these.
Yeah, we were ruled by British people, so we are influenced
Yeah.
by our. It's deep rooted the way it's influenced
So
and the
that
way
is why
it's done.
our local language and local thing markets are not are very shallow actually.
Yeah,
So that is why the original billionaires are all from the US only, because we
right,
are using their products.
right.
And
And they
I
are
think
using
I
our
saw
products.
somewhere like there are 23 crore people on LinkedIn, Indians. So
Wow.
imagine LinkedIn having 23 crore Indians, Instagram having 44 crore Indians. That is the bulk of their market, and it is in foreign hands. So the
If you
valuation is going
see,
to
but
foreign
no,
guy.
but now this is where I want to play devil's advocate. If you see now, I'll tell you why. Is because in India also there are three types of India, which they say India 1, India 2, India 3. And our
Hmm.
so the India 1 which we are looking at, it's not 23 crores or 30 crores of, I mean, whichever the number which
Yeah,
you are saying, can be
benchmark.
hardly
Yeah, it
1
is. I think
crore.
probably 5 crores,
Correct. 1 to 5 crore. Yeah, that
one
small
to five
segment.
crores.
And most of the India is still, the larger 80% of or the 90% of the crowd. So in that terms, it's still a long way to go. But the good part is, the way now coming to the next thought which I had is also now these companies which are much more D2C companies, they are also altering the way they are pricing or the services that they're providing. They are customizing it to tier 3 banking and services. It's much more tier 3 उनके लिए अलग services होगा, tier 2 के लिए अलग services होगा, tier 1 के लिए अलग services हो गया. So it's like three countries in a country which we are having right now. It's also an opportunity for a lot of things.
Absolutely true. And they have realized that India is a mix of sub-Saharan Africa to the richest Anglo-Saxons in the world,
Right.
to a guy who has a house in Mumbai, which which is so tall that you know I think no other billionaire has that kind of a house.
And I
So
I also stand by this as of recent. I think since a year it really struck me in India. It's easier to run a business also or to start a business. Running, chalo, I'm not talking about operating on a day to day. I'm talking about starting is because we don't so it's not as stringent as Singapore. It's not as
yeah,
stringent
yeah,
as Dubai. You need a
Singapore,
license, do
right?
this
Yeah,
and that.
yeah,
In case you're not in manufacturing. So then what really then comes into the play is the ability to put in repetition. Like let's say in other countries you would have hardly 50 people to reach out to, for business or for B2B partnerships. But in India you would have 2,000 people. So then it just becomes increasing your repetition and undercutting the cost.
yeah. That's true. I mean, the kind of diversity and the again the population thing is for real. Like so it's difficult to do business in India because first of all, I'll tell you a story. There's
Please.
this guy from Dubai who used to call me saying that I need companies from India.
Hmm.
So once I arranged a meeting for him in a boardroom, and I got him to meet 10 companies.
Wow.
And after I was sitting with him in the evening, he gave me the mantra of India, the formula of India.
Which is
The formula, the formula of India is that we are the toughest customers in the world. We want the best quality, the cheapest price,
right,
delivered fastest,
right.
and so if a company creates the uh, this one PMF in India, then that PMF has a lot of value, that you manage to sell something to Indians
Ah.
and make money. So if you are servicing India, your top management has to be in Dubai, so that
Ah.
they don't pay any taxes and the money can be generated from there. The customers are in India, and all the IP happens in Singapore,
Hmm.
because Singapore gives you money against IP.
Okay. IP means
So
intellectual property.
intellectual property. Yeah.
Hmm.
So he was giving
Wow.
me this kind of a formula
Very
that
interesting. Now the cat is
that
out of
once
the
you
hat. Proud for
Once you are
founders.
able to sell something in India, you can sell in any country.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you can sell and drive also.
Yeah, you drive also. That is why Indian license is acceptable everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
How many kangaroos can you kill in Australia?
Right. Right, right. So I had this thought also that, what is it that you would also, if you had the ability to, since you are also, in a way, a thought leader, how would you, what would you use this platform, or what would you use this, your thoughts that you have for founders to change the way they do business, or even employees that to change the way they work, um, for both angles, be it for professionals or be it for the way people run businesses. What is the one perspective would you like to give them?
There's a false sense of security which everybody is seeking. The employee thinks that since the company does not belong to him, so his job is secure throughout life. But that is not the reality of the ground. The reality of the ground is that today nothing is sacrosanct.
Hmm.
The companies, they can fold in any time.
Hmm.
And just look at builder.ai. Builder.ai, which raised money at a unicorn plus valuation with Microsoft as its investor, closed down by chucking out 1,000 plus people.
Right.
So today's time, job security is a myth, and because it is a myth, you don't have to be degree driven; you have to be skill driven. And
Hmm.
because you are skill driven, if you uh, get some sense of managing risk, you can rather become an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
and you can make your own money. And who says you have to become a Warren Buffett? Run a small business, make
Right.
2 crores per year, be happy about it, travel the world.
Hmm.
So my advice to employees is this, and my advice to founders is, don't think that uh, uh, you know uh, fake it till you make it. Just stop doing that, because uh, everybody is thinking, let me get a good exit and then i'm I'm through life, I
Set
don't
for
have
life.
to do anymore. Yeah, but that is not true. You look at all those people who got an exit, they always wanted to do more of the same thing, get more success, and apply them more. Because end of the day, the human brain is not only motivated by money, it is
Hmm.
motivated by 10,000 other things.
Purpose, more
So
important.
purpose, and you want to expand yourself, you want to expand your consciousness, you want to expand your health, you want to expand your travel, you want to expand your kids future, you want to expand everything all the time. And because you want to expand everything, you keep on
Hmm.
hustling.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Sorry, my views are very extreme in this, but this is what I feel, that short term thinking should be abolished by both employees and founders.
More importantly, people also need to understand. I would like to add here because the only reason is like you said, your thoughts are very extreme, so it's okay. I have some additions to that also to make it much more extreme. That I think people need to first have their own boundaries and understand that, okay, I am going to be happy with, let's say, I don't know, like you said, 2 crores a year, but sometimes that is also a very high amount. Let's say, kid starting out, he can just have maybe 5 clients that can be 5 lakhs a month and that can be 50 lakhs a year, and that's still a lot more than you can earn than people who are trying to get that 10 or 15 or the 20% hike on a YOY basis, or even for businesses for that matters. Coming to you, because of speaking with you, I realize that not every business needs to be a unicorn, not every business needs to be listed, not every business needs to get a very high ARR, or try to keep fighting the relative market share. Easier said than done. We always want to fight. It's in our instincts, but have some measuring your own or limiting your own expectation. इतना बड़ा भी expectation मत set करो कि that becomes a cost to the stakeholders which are around you. One such
Sure,
example
sure,
would be,
absolutely.
Ola for that matter, and the expectations were set so high that it's you can never come back from
See,
that.
he always talks as big as Elon Musk, but his delivery is nowhere near Elon Musk.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. It's just sad. I mean, there's so much of potential that it's not allocated properly and
I
misallocated.
think he talks big to raise big money. But
Uh,
end of the day, the markets are very smart. Look at Ola Electric's share price.
Even Gensol for
Market
that matter, since you brought that up.
and so low. My God, Blue Smart was so sad. Such a great company, such a great product, Indian-made product, homemade product. Better than Uber and Ola and Rapido.
I'll
Very
tell you
sad.
something about that once upon a time I was talking to an investor. He had invested in Blue Smart's private funding, and they wanted an exit because they had seen some returns on it, and the promoters was not letting them exit.
Okay.
And he was saying that अगर आपको exit करना है तो 20% discount पे ही होगा. So let's say he made like 100 का 200 हो गया होगा, but you'll only get 180. You won't get the 200.
Exit to whom? To Blue Smart. Like who will
Yeah, through
buy?
Blue Smart. Yeah, yeah. He wanted to exit from at the next round, right?
So he
So
was
he was
saying
okay with the money made.
sell at a discount. Okay.
Yes, he was like, no, you have to sell it still at a 20% discount than what you made on that. So,
Okay.
so that was, something that
That was a red flag as to the thinking of the
correct,
promoter.
correct, correct, correct. And the way also they operated was that they didn't they always operated the way investment bankers would. So they thought that they could get the funding and they could get the
Yeah.
right people to do it, and they would just
So
set
they
up.
were managing the company as an investment rather than managing as a
Correct.
founder.
So that's the disconnect was when one
This
of
is the
the
same thing which Snapdeal founders did. This is the
another
same thing
investor I
which
spoke
Snapdeal
to.
founders did.
Right.
Yeah.
Another
Sorry,
investor I
please.
spoke to, he was saying that, I approached them. I had my own, he had his own, fiber making and, extrusion kind of like his own, manufacturing unit, his family owned unit, and he has a family office also. So he was saying that I approached them for these kind of parts and this kind of technology and, how we can do better and save your cost. And he didn't know so the founder didn't know, Gensol's founders didn't know what he was talking about. And they were like,
Oh,
we'll get you the right people to talk to you. But yeah, he was more interested in the funding rather than, implementing the tech which was there. So
so
these
his plan was made long many years back that he has to ultimately take out money from this.
right, right.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? So before we part ways, any last thing that you would like to say? Anything that you would like to, use this platform to further share your perspective on the markets, on business, and overall how things are done in the world right now.
Well, the world is being run by greed and fear. So you look at the heights of US capitalism. Today, a CEO is making 335 times the salary of the lowest worker on an average in the US. And greed is taking over. Like, companies, they leverage a lot, they expand very fast, then they do an IPO. And, if you look at the IPOs recently which happened, most of them, after some time, they fall back
Right,
because they are not able to sustain.
right.
And and did you ever think in your life that a private company can be valued at more than $1 trillion?
Hmm. Never.
Matlab, what is the height of this? Like, you are valuing your top seven companies more than the GDP of 160 countries.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So where is this going? Like, the world had left liberal governments all throughout the last 5 to 10 years, but they have been replaced by right wing governments throughout the world.
Hmm.
Why? Because people are facing the brunt of over capitalism.
Hmm.
And because they are facing a brunt of over capitalism, so protectionist instincts are rising. They want
Hmm.
to stop imports,
Hmm.
they want to stop immigration.
Hmm.
So everybody is closing their borders.
Hmm.
And that kind of mentality cannot go on for a long time, because some of the Western countries who who got all the fruits of success of free trade,
Mm-hmm.
and now the things are turning back, and the success of free trade is going to Asian governments. These governments are trying to stop it,
Hmm.
but it will not stop so easily. I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
Today, China trades, the trade which countries have with China is more than they trade with the US in
Okay. Oh,
majority of the countries.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. China is the biggest trading partner than US for most of the countries.
Hmm.
So this clock is not going to go back so easily. And
Hmm.
India, we are already reaching $5 trillion GDP.
Hmm.
And if geopolitical things stabilize in this whole region, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Maldives, this whole
I'm more
region, if it
interested in GDP per capita, but that's the conversation for some other day.
have too much population, and what is the sense of having 140 crore people? I don't know, yeah. But the thing is, the some government in the past did not stop it. They
Right.
did not educate people. They did not, have proper programs for depopulation, and so now we have to face it. What to do? I
Right.
have to face it.
Right. Right. Fair. Fair. Um, and I really liked our conversation, Tushar. It was very organic, and
Loved it. I loved it.
I
you
got to
are
learn
you are
also
a
a lot
young
of.
achiever. At this young age, you have ideas across things, and information and knowledge, and you want to learn more, and so that is really, I appreciate that a lot, and I think you'll go a long way.
Thank you so much. I think it's more of curiosity that remains
Curiosity.
in me. And but one thing I took away from this is, for both of us is we need to have a business model which to flip companies and exit the country.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that
So
is sad.
I
What
think
to everybody wants to sell and run.
exactly.
Like, you have seen that movie Blood Diamond.
Yes, yes.
It says TIA. This is Africa. So basically, everybody wants to leave Africa.
No, no, so I mean, all jokes aside, but still, I really truly still believe in India, and I'm still very pro India. And maybe it's in me that I always believe in the country, and it's the optimistic side of me. I'm not trying to be diplomatic here or very politically correct. It's just genuinely, I just believe that India has a lot of talent, and eventually everyone is coming back to India also, and everyone wants to work with India also. So maybe not today, maybe not in 5 years, maybe when my kids happen, or their kids or kids
If
happen, then
things
we will
if
be
things are going as good as they are going since the last 11 years, maybe in the next 11 to 15 years, you might be $8 to $10 trillion, which is not bad, which is good.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
But my thing is towards the more happiness index. We need to be a happier
The
country.
Bhutan gross happiness index of Bhutan, huh?
Yes, yes. We need to slightly come up a bit. We need to be higher than Pakistan. I think we are lower than Pakistan.
Those are all manufactured lists, it's all politically motivated. On the hunger index, they had Bangladesh and Afghanistan above India. Oh, what to say about these indexes? Hey, don't believe in them, buddy. They're all mind games to put pressure. Like, recently, I'll give you an example how these people put pressure. Imran Khan is in jail,
Right,
and the army is facing the music. The people love Imran Khan.
right.
So they wanted some work out of the Pakistani army.
Huh.
So
Oh,
they nominated Imran Khan for the Nobel Peace Prize
what?
to put pressure. I mean, that's what they do all the time. All the time they are playing mind games. All the time. So don't believe in these things. These
Hmm.
indexes and lists. They are all manufactured.
If that's the case, then even so, again, this is a hearsay. Since you have said this, it's a hearsay. It's not me who is saying it. I've heard a rumor that even Malala's story is not entirely true.
What they made Malala the Nobel Peace Prize winner because they wanted to highlight the women issue in Afghanistan.
Exactly, exactly. Again, it's
They
a
they
hearsay
wanted to
story.
say that, yeah, yeah. So they made her a example of that. Come on,
Right.
yeah. US, US games of US. if they can give Nobel Peace Prize to Obama,
Right.
who did wars in 45 countries.
I think if we had to talk about only the true feminist leader in in the Islamic countries, then it should be Benazir Bhutto back in 2000s.
Yeah, Asian leaders have been very strong, female leaders like
Yeah, I
Sheikh
think
Hasina,
she was
and then you have,
assassinated, but I feel that was the true
she
spark
was
of,
pretty strong.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah. She was
strong
pretty
leadership
strong for
than what we
Pakistan.
see today. So all
Yeah,
these, so largely these days, all these are manufactured to push agendas. The way Miss Universe or Miss
agendas.
World, is to
Yeah.
push
All
brands
agendas,
and
all
everything.
agendas.
So it's all
Yeah.
manufactured. But
I
again,
don't get it.
it's all, but still we will be pro India and we will be pro government and we will always hope for the best and we will be optimistic that one day things will change and one day we will all do better. So I think
Very
this is
true.
a great note to end. Thank you, Tushar, for
My pleasure.
giving
Lovely
your
talking
time,
to
your
you.
energy, your 50 cents, not two times 25, 50 cents. And I also
Sure.
got to learn a lot. And I hope to, see you sometime for another episode again where we discuss more things, such interesting things again.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening.